And Durham filing, this filing shows Clinton campaign. It spied on candidate and President Trump. Durham's filing shows the Clinton campaign actually spied on Trump as well as his White House. Are you kidding me? That's where we begin tonight. Bombshell legal filing found Hillary's 2016 campaign paid an internet company to infiltrate the servers, as we just outlined in the preamble, at Trump Tower and the White House, falsely linking Donald Trump to Russia. Joining me now is former acting director of intelligence, former U.S. ambassador to Germany and Newsmax senior national security analyst Rick Grenell. It's always great to see you, Ambassador. Little trip down memory lane here. In October of 2020, President Trump was interviewed on 60 Minutes, and CBS's Leslie Stahl would not let him tell his side of the story. Watch this.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
Well, there's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is. No. It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign. They got caught.
Yeah, Leslie Stahl, will you be actually, having another one of these interviews? Certainly did not age well, that clip, Mr. Ambassador. Durham's findings signal a real threat, in my mind, to the Republic. I think it's treasonous. What do you say?
Well, first of all, you can't verify something if you don't assign someone to look at it. It's really unbelievable what's happening in Washington, D.C. I think, though, Chris, those of us who live outside of Washington, D.C. have to stop expecting Washington, D.C. types to ever investigate or do anything about this. I mean, we're starting to look foolish when we're begging them to tear down their own brothers and sisters and colleagues and comrades. We need to send people to Washington, D.C. that will just do it, because they're never going to do it on their own. The media are never going to investigate. We have to stop asking, because we're starting to look like we've been hoodwinked when all of a sudden we're begging this third system, the fourth estate, if you will, to try to play fair. They're never going to play fair. I mean, what we just saw over this weekend, Durham telling us that Hillary Clinton and her team were paying for people to spy on Donald Trump as a candidate and Donald Trump as president.
Yeah, it's flabbergasting. I got to ask you too. You mentioned it was dropped on a Friday, this news, and that is, of course, the Friday before the NFL's Toilet Bowl, a weekend where Russia's doing a whole bunch of saber rattling in the invasion of Ukraine. Are you at all suspicious about the timing of this release?
I'm not, because Durham has demonstrated that he is very independent. I wish Durham would hurry up. I think a lot of these findings should have been done a long time ago. I don't know what's taken so long. But my hope is that he will remain independent, and I look forward to people being prosecuted. I have to say, if the Democratic Party spying on a candidate and the President of the United States to find dirt and to push false narratives, if that's not enough for the American people to wake up and see what dirty tricks are being played, I don't know what is ever going to be enough. This is it. This is the smoking gun. This is the fire. I mean, put all of your analogies in one bucket, because this is it. We just caught them, and Durham caught them, and the big question is, when will be enough? When will they respond?
Yeah. Where's Leslie Stahl? Your successor, by the way, John Ratcliffe, is saying he expects more indictments to come out during the Durham probe. How do you think this all goes? Could we see this go as high as President Obama, or maybe even then Vice President Biden? Could they be implicated? Could it lead to their doorstep that maybe they gave Team Hillary all this access to the White House to target Donald Trump? Is that possible?
Well, I don't want to speculate, but let's just talk about facts here for a second, Chris. The reality is there is no possible way that an outside internet company from Georgia Tech could be hacking the White House, the executive office, the President of the United States and his team without help from inside the U.S. government. There's just no possible way. So what I would like to know is who knew within the intelligence community that Hillary Clinton was paying for this entity, this group of people, to spy on the President of the United States and to try to find dirt. This is scandalous. What is happening in Washington, D.C., where people aren't covering this story? I want to know who on the inside was in cahoots with this outside entity. There's no possible way the outside entity could have done this without having members of the intelligence community. The Inspector General for the intelligence community needs to launch an immediate investigation. And if he won't do it, then in 2024, when Republicans win back the White House, we will do it.
Yeah, and maybe there could be a select committee in Congress started in 2022. Maybe Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger can actually. Oh, wait a minute, they won't be there. Let's turn to the Russia-Ukraine crisis, Ambassador. British Armed Forces Minister James, I believe his last name is pronounced Heppy or Heapy, says he fears that we are closer than we've been on this continent to a conflict since the opening days of the Cold War. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, a guy, by the way, who's up to his eyeballs in that Hillary Clinton scandal, urged Americans to flee Ukraine over the weekend. But according to Zelensky, the United States is actually creating a panic and chaos. Watch this.
And the truth that we have different information. And now the best friend for enemies, that is panic in our country. And all this information that helps only for panic doesn't help us.
Well, so Ambassador, who are we to believe? Are we to believe the Russians and the Ukrainians say that war isn't imminent? It's only the Biden administration, and maybe with some help from Germany, saying that it's all going to happen. What do you think?
Imagine if a president of the United States for sure thought that there was going to be a war, a bloody war, and yet refused to put the crippling sanctions on the pipeline which is fueling this war. I think that Washington, D.C., once again is trapped into this military decision-making process. The Pentagon looks at every situation and is prepared for some sort of military conflict or reaction. The president doesn't have to choose the military option every single time. You can use sanctions, you can use peaceful measures, you can use the State Department. But I've never seen the State Department shoved off to the side as we rush our troops into Europe and really prepare for a war that even the Ukrainians aren't quite sure is going to happen. Look, the Russians can't be trusted. They're going to do everything they can to push the envelope on separating NATO members. This is an exercise to attack NATO. And Joe Biden's response is to give the Germans more and more when the Germans aren't paying their NATO obligations. If you want to talk about strengthening NATO, the first line is to make sure that every member of NATO is living up to their obligations. Joe Biden did not even bring up the issue with Olaf Scholz. It's unbelievable how much we're just letting the Germans get away with undermining NATO and saying we're only going to put sanctions on the Russian pipeline if there's a bloody war. Wow. Well, if you believe that there's a conflict coming, put the sanctions on. Do some diplomacy now.
Well, that would require a strong chief executive. And as you know, Ambassador, we don't have that. Rick Grenell, appreciate the time as always, sir. Come back soon.